Hey guys, it's Jason here with Metal Mastermind. Today I want to share just some basic metal rhythm guitar exercises that you can warm up with and of course use to expand and create your own riffs with. Now, when people think of guitar exercises, a lot of times they think of playing scales and lead patterns and that sort of thing. Those are great, but we're going to be focused on something different here. We're going to focus on the riffs and the rhythms. So this is designed to help tighten up your rhythm playing and of course, again, to warm up with and help you expand on your own ideas. And hang around after the lesson because I'm going to talk a little bit more about that last part, expanding to create your own riffs. This first metal guitar rhythm exercise is going to focus more on some simple single note patterns here with just some basic palm muting. So we're going to play this right here. Again, pretty simple for the most part, and all we're doing here is just kind of playing around on that E string. We are playing, of course, the open note there. We're playing frets 2, 3, and 5. And we're just kind of going back and forth a few times on that. So nothing ultra complicated. Again, all we're doing is just getting the fingers used to moving around a little bit. And I think this kind of helps you just jump right into it. So I want to just go through this slowly and then we'll play it together at, well, there's not really a normal speed to this. We're kind of making this up on the fly. And we're going to talk again more about how I want you to expand on these at the end of the video. So do hang around for that. So here is the riff slow. We're going to go ahead and expand on this just briefly, okay? Because one thing I want you to try is let's just throw a power chord, a couple power chords in there at the very end. It's going to sound like this. I was gonna save that for the end, but I had to show you that right now, and this is just one of many, many examples where you can take a riff, something I'm showing you, or another song, or anything, and expand on it a little bit. Think about, well, what else am I hearing? And just expand your practice on that. All right, so the second riff we're gonna do is gonna be based on moving the power chords around a little bit. You know, as metal guitar players, it's kind of easy to get hung up on just playing the low notes all the time. And that's great, that's cool, but sometimes we may just get overly fascinated with this low region down here. So we're going to play just a pretty simple power chord progression. And again, this is just to get the fingers moving around throughout the neck here, okay? So here's what we're going to play. All we're doing here, and again, I'm going to play that slower for you, okay, just so you can see what we're playing here. All we're doing again, though, is just moving around some power chords. Again, sometimes we get stuck in a certain region, or sometimes we might just kind of get stuck just at any place on the fretboard. We've got the rhythms right there close together. We're kind of just broadening our range a little bit here and getting the fingers, again, this is exercise, guys, this is practice, just getting the fingers used to moving around a little bit. What this particular exercise will also help you with, I believe, is accuracy. Okay, sometimes you might be in this region of the fretboard and you might go up here somewhere and you might sort of get lost sometimes by accident, right? Or maybe you're playing up here, but then you go to a note down here and it's like, okay, well, that's kind of a distance between the two. So we're kind of bridging that gap with this exercise. So let me go through this slowly. And again, we're in standard tuning, just some basic power chords here. Now, real quick, let's just call out the chords that we're actually playing here. Okay, so we're on the A and D strings. We're playing an F, okay, F power chord. We're going from the F to the E, then to the D, then back to the E. So we're kind of staying in that little range there. Then we're going to slide all the way to the B power chord. Then we're going to play a C power chord and then just do some palm muting. Okay, so let's go through that at what I guess I'm calling a normal speed here. Now let's talk about expanding on that. Okay, let's say, well, I like that progression, that sounds cool, but what if you did something different? What if you just maybe added another power chord to that little exercise there? Or maybe you take something away. What if you did this right here, just simplified it? Again, the idea is just to get the fingers moving throughout different parts of the fretboard here, and we're moving around those power chords, the two notes, of course, played at the same time, okay, and that's going to help with the accuracy and coordination and all that. So definitely, that's a cool exercise to practice. Now, one more I want to share with you, something we haven't really done yet. You know, we've played power chords, we've played some simple single note riffs, everything's pretty much been down picking, right, and some palm muting. We haven't done any alternate picking yet, so this third and final exercise, let's put in alternate picking. So that was just back and forth alternate picking there. We're kind of hanging around just 3 power chords, keeping everything pretty simple. Now, one thing we're doing here, and I'm going to go through that slower with you, we're throwing in what I like to call a variation of a power chord. In other words, we're not just playing the standard power chord, okay? We've got a B power chord, an F sharp power chord, then G power chord, but we're adding something a little different to those power chords, okay? So for the B power chord, A and D strings, frets 2 and 4, we're also playing 2 and 5, okay? Now we're doing the same thing with the F sharp power chord, okay? E and A strings, frets 2 and 4, but also 2 and 5. When we go up to the G power chord, frets 3 and 5, well, we're playing also 3 and 4. So just a little flavor, kind of like hot sauce to the chicken wings, if you will, okay? Just adding a little bit more flavor than just playing the typical power chord. It doesn't mean you have to play it this way. You can play it whatever way you want, but I just like to throw these patterns in sometimes, especially when you're practicing, because again, this is an exercise that gets the fingers moving around a bit, okay? You're just getting warmed up, and it's also kind of triggering in your mind some new ideas. And I mean, you could just start writing riffs just with doing these little exercises here, okay? So let me play that slow, and then we'll play it at the normal speed. One thing I want to talk briefly about is some of the little nuances that I might do between power chords. And these aren't rules to follow. What I want you to do is add your own flavor to this, like we've talked about, okay? But sometimes when switching over from a power chord, let's say on the A and D strings, then going from that to the E and A strings, I might hit like an open note in between those just to give it something a little different, and it kind of fills in as a little bridge from one chord to the next. So something like this. Just watch this up here. Watch my fretboard fingers here. After I played that B power chord, I kind of pulled off of the B note and just let the A ring out, the open A string ring out just a little bit as a bridge to go over to the F sharp power chord. So little things like that you can throw in your riffs. Maybe you play the open E instead of the open A. Maybe you don't play any of those, and that's fine. Again, there's no right or wrong answer. These are just some little things to think about as you're going through these exercises, because what I want you to do, and this is where we get into the really fun part of this whole conversation and playing these exercises, I want you to expand on these. Maybe play something different, okay? Maybe play what we just played for this third exercise with the alternate picking. Maybe just play that somewhere entirely different on the fretboard. We're playing the B power chord, for example, but what if you did that with, well, let's say, C sharp? How does that sound different? Same thing, but since you're in a different key, right? You're like a whole step up. Well, it just sounds a little different, not substantially different, but just gives you a little bit different flavor. So play around with things like that. Maybe you play some different power chords. Maybe you do a different variation of power chords. Don't play exactly what I played, but maybe try some different positions with your power chords instead. So it's like an open book here that you're writing yourself. That's what guitar playing is. And again, these are just some practice exercises. Of course, you can expand on these like what we're talking about now and write your own riffs with them, and you can come up with some really, really cool stuff. Now, I believe it's also great to continue learning new riffs and expanding, of course, on those riffs that you learn. Well, we have a course here on Metal Mastermind. Actually, it's a course that I created called Metal Riff Master, and this is over 80 new metal riffs. Now, not all of the riffs are in the same key. Remember we talked about earlier, we like to chug away on those lower notes. There's plenty of that, but we also play some riffs in some different keys, even C sharp like we just did. So that course is designed to take you through, again, over 80 different guitar riffs, metal guitar riffs, and to help you expand on those by just implementing a combination of different techniques throughout each module. Of course, there are some bonuses that I give in that course as well. One is on, as you would expect, riff writing, because it's so important that you expand and write your own riffs. There's also even a lead guitar module in that course. So check out Metal Riff Master. There is a link in the description below. Now, I want to say real quick, if you're just getting started, we do have a beginner's metal guitar course. If you need to start from scratch and just go over the fundamentals, or maybe you're revisiting guitar after taking a long break, check out Metal Guitar Apprentice. That's great if you're just starting out. So check those courses out. Links to those are in the description of this video. We appreciate you watching the Metal Mastermind YouTube channel. Appreciate you being part of what we're doing here. As always, until next time, create your own sound.